Okay, this time I don't have the fan on, and I'm going to narrate this one a little bit. I don't know if Gunthers were made from a mahogany obsidian, but I think mahogany obsidian is growing on me. I'm tending to like it a lot, so I'm going to use it. I got plenty of room on this piece, so hopefully it won't break in half like the other one almost did. Got plenty of room, plenty of thickness. Now, I'm not sure how far I discussed poisoning arrows in one of my other videos. I'm reading a book on poisoned arrows in North America. I'll put the name in the description. You can still get it. It's still widely available. And it's pretty good. I read through the whole thing, but I did skip some parts where it had a lot of the herb lore. It's not just poisons, but there's other uses for the herbs and the plants and stuff that they were harvesting from the wild. Most of the poisons were based on some kind of nightshade plant. Or rattlesnake venom. Of various concentrations and various ways of extracting the toxic chemicals from the plants. The rattlesnake venom is pretty straightforward. And yes, there were a lot of instances, and I mean a lot, where Native Americans would poison their arrows. There are instances in, maybe not in physical evidence, but in the stories, or at least in the lore, the plant lore. Every culture has at least one plant that is considered poisonous or that you can extract poison from. And there's some pretty well-known stories about Native Americans poisoning the water for fishing purposes. And it's really not a poison, but a nerve agent, I guess, that stuns the fish for a little while, and you can harvest the incapacitated fish. I know when I was growing up, I was told the Indians used the jack in the pulpit plant for stunning fish in water. They grind up the jack in the pulpit plant and throw it in the water. Several plants, of course, in order to have an effect. You can't just put one in the water and expect anything to happen, I guess. They crush up a bunch of those plants, throw them in the water, make sure the current was not strong in that area, and wait for the fish to become incapacitated. Gather up the fish, and they were safe to eat, even though they were paralyzed. I guess it affects the brain, and that's about it. But as far as poisoning arrows for war, there's some accounts of that. I'll need to get the specific references. I don't want to misquote the book. But it appears that most cultures had their formulas for poisoned war arrows too. Now, were Gunther's poisoned? I can't remember if I mentioned that or not. One of my articles or videos, I had a theory that the serrations might be good for holding poisons. You know, the little indentations between the serrations might be good for holding a poison. You know, if you dip the whole thing and kind of wipe it, and then, or some of it gets wiped off just by normal handling, you know, with the quiver leather or whatever, you still have the poison within those little indentations. That's just a theory, though. I don't know how that works. I don't know if that would work. Okay, I'm going to try the roll of leather with this obsidian. At this stage, it should be easy to use because it's a kind of a thick preform. I think I figured out how I'm going to develop those pressure flaking muscles. Just pressure flaking on raw stone, because now that I'm pressure flaking on obsidian, I'm overpowering it. So yeah, if I can pressure flake on raw stone effectively, I can probably pressure flake on anything. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tip way down so I can make this wide. Make it a wide point. I have a habit of making long, narrow points. This one needs to be a short, wide one. And I'm doing another one because I want to get it right. Or I want it to at least show what I was starting out trying to show in the other video. And I'm basically doing 90%. Everything that I'm making now, 90% of it's going on video. Well, maybe not that high. I made a bunch of points at the Knapping. I didn't film any of those. They were mainly Texas points. Marshall and I think I made one Pedernales, one what was it called? One Jetta, a Bulverde, actually made 3 Marshalls, so I don't know how many that is so far. 7 points. I made a Perdiz in a period of a couple days. I probably made 10 points. Of course, I did a lot of talking too. Wasn't all napping, but it was good. We talked, we had dinner, we napped, and there was a little after party at night. This was on Saturday. All I'm going to say is the guys I was with really liked their tequila and ski stories. Or one particular ski story. That was fun. Okay. So yeah, I got way too much room. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just whittle it, keep whittling it down, I guess. This pad doesn't bounce the flakes off as bad, but they're still flying everywhere. They don't bounce off this pad like a hard pad, which is good. Let's see. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, it's nice and peaceful and quiet late at night. It gets cooler. But late at night is when I also, if I forget to do stuff during the day, I review my day, and if I need to do it, and if I can do it at night, I'll do it at night. Now that I'm napping more often at night, I hope I'm not forgetting a bunch of stuff. I think I'm safe for now. So what to talk about? Let's see. Trying to remember some of the questions that were good questions. Interesting questions that I couldn't answer right away or didn't answer sufficiently. I brought my casts to the Knapping. There was a lot of interest in looking at those. Plastic resin casts of real artifacts. For those who are just tuning in and don't know what I'm talking about, casts are reproductions in plastic of the real artifacts. They take a real artifact and they create a mold with it. They put it in rubber or whatever it is that the mold is made of, and make it in 2 parts or whatever. And then once you have the mold of the actual artifact made, you can create lots and lots of duplicates in plastic. Excellent study pieces because the casts are excellent quality. And I get mine mainly from Lithics Casting Lab, although there's a couple other casting labs, so to speak. I can put those in the description too, for those who are interested in buying that kind of thing. Of course, I don't get any money for referring you to these different sources. It's just the sources that I use, and I don't mind giving those out. The more people that buy, the longer they stay in business. That's how I look at it. Okay. Now, references where I buy stone. I'll have to make a list of those references of where I actually buy stone, because I buy them from a variety of sources. Some are individual people and some are businesses. By businesses, I mean they have an internet site and the whole 9 yards, you know. Various products. Sometimes they're diversified into knapping tools and other things related to flint knapping. And some guys I get stone from are only specializing in stone. That sort of thing. So I have to make a list and then I'll post it as a separate video talking about sources and information and all that. I'm going to make a video on nothing but sources. Because as I get busy making videos, that's another thing that happens. People ask me, what are my sources for materials and for information, what books and stuff, what websites. So I got to start making some lists. And that way I can get it organized so I don't forget anybody, because I will forget if I just start rattling them off by memory. I will forget to include somebody. I think that, you know, and I'll be thinking, I think I covered them all, but then I didn't, and then the video is incomplete, and then I had to put the corrections in the description and no one reads those, and then they keep asking me more and more questions. I can't refer them to the video itself because it's not complete, and they won't read the description and all that jazz. So I got to make sure the list is complete to the best of my ability. And I'm going to check all the website links and all that. Check to make sure the phone numbers are still active and blah, blah, blah. I've done that before where I've referred people to my sources, but I haven't used that source in a while. And it no longer exists, and they just my luck or something. It's the first one on the list, and they don't want to look at anything else because, the first one's no good, so they must all be bad. And they get all discouraged. But anyway. Anyway. I think that happened with the floor tile. I referred somebody to a floor tile manufacturer. And just my luck, I got it wrong. And then he didn't believe me that floor tile would work, and this must be something else. Or something like that. Or had a batch that was unusual or an anomaly. Because the floor tile he was using doesn't work. That kind of thing. So I had to take extra time and walk. I don't know if it was him, but I've walked people step by step through the process of getting things. Because I either get the phone number incorrect, or they get it incorrect, or they don't know exactly what to ask for if they talk to someone on the phone. Various things. Sometimes you just got to walk through the whole process from beginning to end without any skips in between. You can't take shortcuts. You got to go exactly from the beginning exactly to the end, and explain to them like they were 5. You know how the expression goes. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Start with the extreme basics, because I don't know. I knew absolutely nothing about whatever it is. You know, it's actually pretty hard to imagine that you don't have any knowledge whatsoever on the topic and then try to explain something. It really is kind of difficult. I think that's why not many people do it. I will do it. If someone asks me to explain it like they're 5, it might take me a while to come up with the explanation, but I'll explain it to you like you're 5, because I've had experience, believe me. I have 6 kids. I know how to explain it to someone like they're 5. Yeah, it's just an expression, but you know what I mean. Okay. Sometimes you tell people it's not that complicated. Just think of it as blah blah blah. It's pretty simple. And they're missing one piece of information and they don't get it. They're just not able to be processed. I understand that perfectly, because I'm that way too sometimes. I have a little touch of autism, and if something is just not right in the explanation, I don't get it. Okay, starting to get down to a good size, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to need to watch the width here. Some people ask me, what's the hardest thing to preserve, width or length or thinness or thickness? You know, what do you lose first? Well, it's certainly not thickness. And it can, in many cases, it is length, because you'll break it off accidentally. You break off the tip or something accidentally. But the dimension you lose the easiest is width. And then length, and then thickness. Some people just can't lose thickness no matter how they try. I can lose everything, my keys, my wallet, my direction, my sense of dignity, but I can't lose thickness. Why can't thickness be money? That would be awesome. That would be great. I use the word awesome a lot when I'm answering questions or making my responses in the comment section or whatever. Awesome and cool and stuff like that. I don't know what else to say. I didn't really used to say those words back in the day very much. I'm using them more as I'm older. Could always say thank you very much. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching the channel, and slam that like button. Holy crap, that's bad. I don't like it when content creators do that sort of thing. Okay, here we go. We're going to... Yes, okay. Now we're cooking with gas, as one of my old teachers used to say. Never forget that. Now we're cooking with gas. But teacher, I like cooking with natural wood. That's just an expression. Try cooking with gas one of these days. Alrighty. It actually does work pretty good. Gas grill. It's almost, it is cheating, I think. I have a gas grill. I never had any luck with it because I would buy the propane tanks, refill them, and turn on the gas grill and start grilling, and it would last maybe 2 hours. And I would go fill it up again, and the propane tank would last 2 hours or even less, 1 hour and a half or something. What the heck? Either they were not filling it up right, or my gas grill was leaking gas or something. So I retired that a long time ago, and I only use my wood powered barbecue grill or barbecue pit. It smells of pecan and pork fat. Oh yes. I use pecan wood most of the time for my barbecue. Didn't know a thing about barbecue when I moved to Texas. I think that was 30 or 35 years ago. I don't even want to count. So yeah, I have a strong connection here. And a strong connection in New Hampshire. Kind of an odd couple there. Both those states like their guns though, so it's cool. I like my guns too. I prefer to hunt with firearms, in case you're wondering, for those just tuning in. I don't really like to hunt with my primitive bow and arrow. Unless I'm bow fishing, then I love it. I like any kind of fishing. But especially, I like shooting large, smart fish, because it takes a little bit of mind games. Got to be sneaky when you're dealing with smart fish. What I need to do one year is see if I can shoot fish with that ladle dart. I haven't tried that yet. I'm dying to try it, especially with something really large, maybe with garfish. One of these years, one of these days. And after shooting the garfish, I can get a bunch of those gar scales, just to have them. You can make arrowheads from gar scales, but just to have a good collection just feels satisfying, to have a good supply of material. And I could say, yep, I harvested those myself. I know how to do it. I did it with primitive tools, primitive weapons. Okay. Was the boat primitive? Did you go out in a canoe? Did you go out in a raft? Nope. Powerboat. I don't count. Did you go out in a canoe and jump in the water and wrestle the guard to the shore? Yep. Okay. And how primitive can we go? We can go pretty primitive. Yes, indeed. I'm not going to go that primitive. All right, so let me see if I'm ruining my chances. No, I'm still good. All right, so you've been listening to me talking while I'm trying to get this down to a good size and thickness. I don't want to get it too thin, but I'm pretty close to getting it to where there's not much room left. All right, I'm going to start thinning it out from the base. Put those notches in. What the heck? The pad is actually, I think, is doing well. I don't see any major step fracturing issues at all. I think I'm liking this roll. I keep saying pad, but it's a roll of chamois leather. I think I'm liking it very much. Even though it's soft as heck. And it's starting to deteriorate right where I'm napping. I think I can, just keep cutting off pieces of it as they get worn out. I might even be able to put a thicker piece of leather as a core, just so it stays a little more rigid. But we'll see. I'm not going to put a stick in there, although I could make it very rigid. I don't want to do that. It kind of eliminates the feel of the process of napping. I want to be able to feel as much as possible so that I don't have to think about it too much. It really raises the stress level if you have to think about every single step. And the slow process of whittling it down is just part of the methodology of learning pressure flaking, I suppose. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. Come on. Yeah. I'm having good success with avoiding step fractures. I like it. All right. Another pass on this side to get it thin. And then I'll start with the notches. That sounded funny. I think I stepped it and then I hit the step fracture with the flaker and it continued. That was cool. Alright, so this one is going to be it's going to be pretty wide. That was my big problem last time. Yeah. I got plenty of width. Okay. Now, big question. Does it fit the foreshaft? Ooh, I'm still thick. Still too thick in the middle. Let me see. Let's see if I can do a nice big thinning pressure flake. Kind of flute it on both sides and see how it goes. Yeah, I am getting the step fracture there though. At the end of that, it terminates into a step fracture. I guess it's better than a reverse hinge. For you that are just tuning in, a reverse hinge is when the flake travels and then dives into the point and just cuts it in half, usually. Sometimes it dives only part way. I still consider that a reverse hinge is just an incomplete reverse hinge when it dives and creates a weak spot. Alright, let's see what we got. Well, it goes deeper, so I guess that's good enough. Yeah, I'm not going to sweat it. Good enough. What does that mean, you're not going to sweat it? It means I'm not going to get all nervous. One of the side effects of nervousness is sweaty palms, sweaty forehead, sweating. I'm not going to get sweaty over it. It's one of those funny expressions. Yeah, I didn't center that one very well. But you know what? I got plenty of width, so it doesn't matter. I just trim one side and then we'll be good. Okay. I will try not to sharpen my tools during this video. For those of you who are into the sleep videos, go back to sleep, or you know, don't be trying to watch this stuff. Oops. I was about to delete that notification, but I'm not going to delete those. I get the same tone when I get a spam call, I think, or something like that. And I delete those right away. Yes, it's not the same tone, but I see that red delete lettering and I go, yes, 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 delete, delete. Wait, wait, wait. It's Facebook. I can't do that to my friends. You know, all those people on Facebook are your friends? Well, yes and no. I don't know half of them. Well, I don't know most of them. But I look at their pages. They ask me for a friend request. I look at their page, and if they're a real person, heck yeah, that's my friend. That's my new friend. But if they look like they're not a real person, or they're trying to sell something that is not too cool, I think you know what I'm talking about. Let's just say it's something that It's not child friendly. Anyway. Adults only. I don't respond to any of that stuff. That's what turned me off about Twitter at first. I got on Twitter a long time ago, and all I got was spam from adult sites. I think they pretty much control that, but in the beginning it was a real issue, I think. Okay. So yeah, I'm no longer posting or even looking at Twitter. I know some of you guys still do the Twitter thing, but I think I've given it up permanently. I went on there to learn about politics, and I found out that what people should be talking about when they're talking about politics, they're not really talking about that stuff. They're not talking about economics and institutional policy. They're talking about how to make someone look bad. How they are not worthy. The whole deal now is slandering people. Anyway. My older son, no, not my older son. They're twins, right? But I say my older son because he's 13 minutes ahead of the other one. They were born 13 minutes apart, right? So one of my sons likes to have question and answer session about politics at least once a day, which is perfectly good. It's fine. Keeps me on my toes. He's a smart kid. Holy crap. Anyway, I got the old man boomer thing going on, and I get riled up about certain things. And then I feel weird after. I shouldn't have taken that one so seriously. Most of the political discussions these days center around fallacies, logical fallacies. They use logical fallacies to support their agendas as a basis for an agenda. Who are we going to attack this time? It's an ad hominem fallacy. Attack the person, not the message. That kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, let's see. I'll have discussions with him, and he's well versed. So now I got to become well versed in these methods of governance and culture, various ideologies. Holy moly. I don't want to say, well, I don't really know, so I can't talk to you about it. I'm interested in the philosophical aspects of many things, so I don't really mind it. Unless it hits on something that I really have a strong opinion about. I won't get into that in this channel, that's for sure. But you know what I mean. All you boomers know what I mean. I just barely got in on the last year of being a boomer. I was born in '63, right? So I think that's cutting it really close. So I'm just barely a boomer there. But I can tell you stories about how I used to make phone calls on a crank phone. I went to a Boy Scout camp one year, and all they had to communicate with was a crank phone. You crank it, and you pull a little receiver or the little earpiece off the wall and put it up against your ear, and you speak it to a speaker, just like the old-fashioned thing. You crank it to generate a current, I suppose, and you could speak for a minute or two. But then you speak to there's a little dispatcher, and they had the old system at the camp. The dispatcher would connect you to your party. Or whatever they call it. I don't know if it's a dispatcher or what, but it was so funny that they couldn't believe that I actually talked on that phone. It actually sounded pretty good too. Anyway, that only lasted 1 year. So I was not like I used it all the time. So I've seen the technology change since that time. It's a big drastic change for us in this day and age. The technology has really changed, but everything else has gotten worse as far as advancement, right? I don't know. It seems like culture is rewarding the wrong things these days. But maybe I'll just create a philosophy channel in that way. I won't be philosophizing or talking about this kind of stuff on my Flintknapping channels. Yeah, camera's still rolling. Hasn't overheated yet. I think it's in the 80s right now. So I think we're pretty safe. Alright, so I think I'm going to just go nuts with the serrations. I don't care if they look right. Alright, let's just make them very nasty and very deadly. Make sure that needle tip is nice and long. Let's push the limits a little bit so I can test this pad. Okay, let's start here. Now the space in between these serrations. Let's see. I don't know. I'm just gonna wing it. I'm not gonna go by the pictures. I have the book there, but I'm not gonna open it up. It's out of reach anyway. I know they have some really deep, narrow indentations in order to get a cluster of really spiky serrations. You need to have narrow indentations that are deep. And when you flint knap the front part of these serrations, it's got to be sharp. You just can't crunch them in. You can crunch it on the back side of the serration, but on the front side it's got to snap so you get a nice clean sharp edge. You can probably crunch the bottom of the serration, the bottom of the indentation. If I just go crazy with these serrations, I can always tone them down if they look too drastic. If I don't stall these indentations, there we go. So I'm not going to worry if they face up or forward or whatever on this one. I'm just going for drastic if I don't mess it up. I just stole that indentation on that one. But if I creep up on it from the side by removing the back side of that serration, I can maybe get it deeper. Sharpen it. Yeah, let's see. Strange noises. Go back to sleep. It's just a little strange noise. Yeah, I'm stalling these indentations. I gotta focus and just kind of walk them in. Do the zigzaggedy thing, I guess. See, with a little sharp tool like this, it's a whole different strategy than using a spatula tool. I think I should have sharpened up my spatula tool. I'm gonna try to use this hard steel. It doesn't grip the edge. That's the only thing. But it might help me. Might help prevent the stalling. This is where it gets dicey, because I'm going toward the end of the barb, and if I put too much pressure, I can snap that barb off. Yeah, no, I don't like this. So, let's go back to the sharp pointy thing. And then just be more careful. Seems like it would be easy to put the serrations in. I didn't realize how easy that would stall. I don't even know if that's correct. Yeah, it's probably supposed to be a more downward type of barb. Drooping barbs. Well, it helped to sharpen the little picking tool. That's for sure. All right. So yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, if it's already stalled, it's already stalled. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so let's try a different tactic and start from the base first, or the lower part of this blade. Try to wrap this up. Yeah, I think this is actually easier starting from the base that way. I don't have to really worry about losing track of how many serrations I can put, you know, on the side. Try to count how many are left, how many I can fit on there. One of these days I'm going to drop it and snap the whole thing. I keep catching these little barbs on my glove. That's my excuse. Okay. Okay, I think we're getting close. One more minute. I'm getting close both to finishing this and finishing the limit on the time that my phone will give me. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with Obsidian, with Mahogany Obsidian. Like I said, I think I'm liking it more and more. All right, so I'm gonna call it quits there. Figure out how to focus in on that and display that. Let's see. Well, I guess I could use the same paper as before. That's pretty evil looking. So there you go. Feels pretty substantial. That's probably way too wide, but I don't care. You get the idea. Much bigger than the other one. So I kind of exaggerated it, right? But I don't care. There you go. Okay.